Here we have a problem with variables on both sides of the equation, except I threw some fractions in there. Fractions really don't change the procedure, it just changes the number itself. So don't be intimidated when you see them. Same procedure as before. I'm going to go ahead and draw a line down the middle of the equation where the equal sign is, this little dotted line, just so I can separate the left-hand side from the right-hand side. So same as before, I'm going to go ahead and distribute my number into my parentheses, but because it's a fraction, I need you to understand that you can take these whole numbers and put them over 1 and it has the same meaning. So for instance, when I distribute this 1/8 to the 3d, it's going to become 3/8 d. And the reason why is you multiply the top two numbers, 1 times 3, and the bottom numbers, 8 times 1, in order to get 3/8. You can take the d out separately if that makes it easier for you. The next number, when you distribute 1/8 to -2, that's going to be the same thing as -2/8, but I'm going to go ahead and simplify it to 1/4. That concludes the left-hand side of the equation because there are no like terms. Here's a number with a variable, and then here's just a number by itself. I cannot combine these because of that d. So I'm going to go ahead and focus on the right-hand side of the equation, and I'm going to do the same exact thing and distribute. This gives me 1/4 d plus 5/4 for the same reason. This d is technically over 1 and this 5 is technically over 1. Whenever you multiply fractions, you multiply the top number by the bottom number. So what I said before was it would make it much easier if you add or subtract the number with the variable that has the smaller number. That's going to be this right here. 1/4 is smaller than 3/8 because I know 2/8 is the same thing as 1/4. Even if you don't know for sure, remember, it doesn't matter what you add or subtract first, you're going to end up with the same answer regardless, as long as you do the work correctly. So here's what I'm going to do. Because these numbers do not have the same denominator, I'm going to change this so that it has the same denominator as this. So I'm going to subtract a number over 8, and those are my cats playing. I don't know if you can hear them in the background. 1/4 is the same thing as 2/8, so I'm going to subtract 2/8 from both sides of the equal sign. And how I got 2/8 was I needed to change this 4 into an 8, so I went ahead and did that. In order to do that, I multiplied the fraction by 2, so I multiplied the top by 2. So I'm subtracting 1/4 from both sides. It's the same thing as subtracting 2/8 from both sides. This gives me 1/8 d minus 1/4 equals, these cancel out because they're the same, equals 5/4. I will add 1/4 to both sides. I'll get 1/8 d equals 6/4. You can simplify that now just for the sake of me not having enough space down here. I'm going to save that for later. So your next instinct would be to divide both sides by 1/8 in order to get d by itself. Dividing a number by 1/8 is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal, which is 8/1. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 8, and I'll finish the work up here. That gets me d by itself. And then here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use cross-cancelization in order to simplify this right here. So this is technically 8/1, and you can ask yourself, how many times does 4 go into 8? Well, if I divide the top and bottom by 4, this turns into a 1 and this turns into a 2. So 6 times 2 ends up being your final answer, which is 12. So D equals 12.